This is the video review for Transformers Fall of Cybertron Jazz. And this figure, well, let me put it this way. I've done about 15 takes on this figure, and each time I just lose steam doing it. And the reason why is because it's kind of a boring figure. He has some small technical problems, but for the most part he's a technically competent figure, but he's boring. And he has a lot of little tiny niggling annoyance things that any fun this guy could have are robbed by just having to deal with these tiny, itty-bitty annoyances. The first one are the shoulders. It's not just that they're loose, they're on the ball joint there, but they don't go in and out very much, and when you do move them in and out, well, you've got this little tab here, which it doesn't really catch, but it keeps the arms from posing how you might like, which is annoying. And then, if you try, it feels like you should be able to move the arms out more. You can't, but it feels like you should. But then when you start trying, it feels like you're going to break it. And then the head here has decent posability. You can look side to side, a little bit up and down, a little bit side to side. Pretty decent articulation for a Transformer. But because it has these things behind his head, getting your fingers in there is really annoying. And then his legs, well, his legs, they're decent, but they're too close together, which is very strange. And they're not bad, but his instep isn't flat, which means sometimes getting him to stand is kind of hard. And he does end up being a bit back-heavy with all this stuff back here and with his tiny heel. So, the robot mode, while I think it looks decent, well, it's not going to fall back now. I was going set up to fall back. Well, there it goes. While it looks decent, it just has a lot of tiny problems. And it's an okay figure. You can work around a lot of the problems, and I suppose if you just spend a lot of time getting used to the figure, it will grow on you. I mean, it's grown on me a lot since I first opened it. I still don't like it that much, but it has grown on me. But the problem is, it doesn't wow me out of the box, and, well, just the robot mode alone, just the robot mode alone, it has its problems, but it's okay. But when we start getting into the transformation stuff, which we'll do after I go over do a formal review of the posability, you'll see a lot more problems. Now, his arm here, go around 360, in, out a little bit, rotate above the elbow, and his elbow here is ratcheted, but it has a fair amount of articulation in it. And then he's got a ball-jointed wrist that can go inward. His head can rotate around. The other arm's the same. Legs go forward, back, rotate up here and down here, which is weird. Although up here is limited, and down here, it's weird. It likes to it likes to go at 45-degree intervals. It doesn't like to just go wherever you want it to go. So the upper legs, the thigh swivels, are kind of strange. Then you get another ratcheted joint here. You get about 90 degrees at the foot, or at the leg, and then you have another ratchet here on the back of the foot. So, well, it only goes back, which is a shame because his articulation would actually be quite nice if it could go forward and back, but no dice. So, anyway, that's his robot mode. I think it looks decent, but it has technical problems. Now, transform this guy, it's pretty interesting, but very annoying, and I cannot predict how well I'm going to be able to do this, because I've transformed him a couple times now, and each time I do it, it's like a coin toss whether or not it's going to fit together or not. First thing we'll do is we'll point the toes down and plug the legs together. Now, before we get into this, I will say I do like the joints here being ratcheted. Not necessarily because they're load-bearing, they're ratcheted because, and this is, I think, pretty interesting, they're ratcheted so that they will go to the exact place they're supposed to be for the vehicle mode. And I think that's a nice touch. Now you've done that, and then we're going to straighten out the arms, and let's see, how's this go? Rotate them. No, rotate them forward, and then there's a little hole here and a little tab there, and it's kind of hard to get them in, but you just sort of angle them in like that. Rotate these around, and we'll deal with them a bit more later. Well, no, let's deal with them now. You'll pop these out. These actually stay close to the body fairly well because this little tab. They come off pretty easily, but not without your consent, basically. Now what you want to do is you want to put this little tab into this little hole, but part of the problem is that when you do this, you're likely to pop the arm off here. If you haven't mastered the way to do it, which I haven't. Now, it didn't do it this time, but trust me, it's annoying when this comes off, because it feels like getting it back on is going to break it, and it's surprising the first time it happens. Now, to continue the transformation, you'll unplug this from his butt, and unhook this stuff, and now it becomes a floppy mess. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to push this up, which will automorph his head, well, for robot mode, it was like this, then you'll push it up, which will automorph the head down, and, let's see, yeah, it's all kind of messy. Rotate this up, then rotate this down so it fits under there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to rotate the feet, and now you see why I don't like this transformation. Trying to do stuff with any of the hinges in here causes it to just sort of fall apart. And then what you will do is you will take the arm bits. That is extremely annoying how it does that. Rotate them under like this, and then there's a little tab here and a hole there. And if I did it right, this should stay. If I didn't do it right, it'll pop off. And doesn't seem to be popping off this time. It does do it a lot. I mean, basically, like I said, getting him to fit together. There, see how that popped off? Getting him to fit together properly in vehicle mode is kind of a coin toss, and I'm not quite sure what the problem is that keeps it from working right. And then, I mean, I have no idea if that's going to come off again or not. And part of the problem is that trying the automorph here, just pushing the automorph up, the head doesn't go all the way down to where it's supposed to be. The only way that it stays where it's supposed to be, where this part here is flat, is by all the other parts coming around it and holding it into place, which is why this pops off a lot, because this has pressure on it trying to get it to go where it's not all the way flush, which presses against this. So anyway, here we have the vehicle mode, and it's not a bad vehicle mode, but I do think it's kind of boring. And the reason why is, well, think about War for Cybertron Bumblebee. Maybe some of you don't have it, but just trust me when I say that figure. It was a Cybertronian vehicle mode that did a lot to make itself look impressive and unique. This is a Cybertronian vehicle mode that just looks kind of boring because, well, it's basically an Earth vehicle mode with the human compartments ripped out, and that's kind of boring. I wish they had done more to make it look interesting, not just more to make it look non-Earth-like. That would have made it look interesting. I don't know what they could have done, but just something. And then here you have his little weapon. It can plug in here, and he rolls. So, my final verdict, I think the robot mode's not terrible. I think it could probably be pretty good and an acquired taste, but it has its problems. The transformation is neat, but very annoying because of all the hinges up in here, and the vehicle mode is fairly lackluster. I'm sure some people will enjoy it, it's just not for me. Part of the problem with the vehicle mode, for me, is all this white here just looks very bland and unpainted. Some kind of panel lining would have made this look a lot better for me. And yeah, it does roll pretty decent, which surprises me because the wheels are the same kind of, if you can see it, it's the same kind of plug wheel that we've been seeing on figures like Transformers Prime Knockout. But yeah, this is Jazz. Do I recommend him? Maybe. I don't really know. It's just kind of a confusing figure. So, yeah. I reviewed Transformers, Brave figures, Marvel figures, Macross figures, just a ton of stuff. If any of that sounds interesting, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.